country. Of course, it's really important that we discuss some of this because we know that our children are going to be affected. There are some people who have been, in a course for 4 years. They've been in school for 8 years because of one issue or the other. And these are strikes, ongoing strikes between the federal government and one union or the other, where we've seen that time and time again. And we're seeing SANU going ahead to say, if you do not pay us our monies at March 18th, rather, we will not stop the strike. Well, we have a call this morning. Let's take it. Hello.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, this is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, good morning. You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, best man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what I want to say about the issue of discourse is that, federal government, most of the time, they don't keep to their words concerning the salary that is yet to be paid. And on the other hand, NASU and the union is not so also serious in their own side. Because you can't tell me that a university lecturer, which most of them, or some of them is a professor, can't hold a federal government accountable by any time they are going into any agreement. They should be written, signed. Most of them are professors, even in legal practitioners. So I don't know why federal government should be swindled them when they are serious concerning fighting their cause. That is when federal government will take the step, because I have not seen any serious litigation against federal government towards making sure that what they agreed, that they are taking it to court to challenge it, and let justice be done. So that is my own take on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for your contribution this morning. Mr. Larry, did you get that?
And I can also say that it makes sense to say, they can pursue the legal option. But the way Nigeria works, I mean, you go to industrial court basically when you're discussing these things. And then they will start the twists and turns. For the guys, for the SANU and the NASU, they feel that this will take forever. That's the truth. Legal processes in Nigeria are very slow and painstaking. I remember that I think it was Okutepa that said yesterday that justice in Nigeria is slow, but it will get to its destination. And that's the way you put it. And
whether it's 100 years.
I said, what if the victim of the abuse dies before it gets to its destination? So I think that particular statement applies there. The SANU people and the national people, they don't want this justice that is very slow to get to its destination after they have retired, after they have left service. So they can pursue those options. But they think that the fastest way to get the government to talk, which is actually I call it the only language they understand, is strike, and it's very unfortunate. I think we need more responsible and more responsive leaders, more responsible and more responsive. We should avoid all of these kind of things. We can't be talking about strikes every day for the reason that government does not keep agreements. So if they don't, what incentive are they giving us, the citizens, the companies, to keep to our words? I mean, they are supposed to be our role models. They are supposed to keep to these agreements, and if they have any reason, genuine reason why they can't move on with it, they should approach the union before the time and say, can we renegotiate? Let's put this on the table. Can we shelve that? That is how responsible people relate. Unfortunately, they are too busy fighting about 2027, fighting about tickets. Who will get this ticket or who will get that ticket? Fighting about sharing contracts and other benefits to even remember their primary responsibilities. I think that's the problem we have. We don't have leaders who are responsive, who understand that the citizens are in pain.
Right.
It's good that to go to court if you want to, but justice, like the senior lawyer said, travels slowly in Nigeria. very slowly.
All right, let's move on to this issue of food security in the country. We're having the Kano State Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, urging the President Bola Tinubu to open land borders to ensure food security. I mean, we closed the borders, and reopening the borders it might check inflation and maybe lead to the reduction in food prices, in the prices of foodstuff and all that. But is this really the way to go?
There are different ways to look at this issue of opening the borders. When you open the borders, it's not only food that may come in. Food may also go out, and light arms may come in. Bandits may also come in. I think we need to be careful about this issue of opening borders and closing borders. We have to ask ourselves what works in our best interests, and then what's the short-term, medium-term, and long-term effect of any decision we make. Because most of the time Nigerians seem to focus on the short-term effect of the choices they make. But for every choice we make, there is a short-term effect, medium-term, and long-term. If the impact short-term may give you a very small reprieve, and then because of that you do something that will damage your economy and your life in the long term, then you're not making a good choice. One of the things I think we must learn to do in Nigeria is to, first of all, manage our food supplies better, get better yielding crops for our farms, harvest our produce, and then make sure that we don't sustain losses through decay. Let's know how to store, process, and all of that. And then let's not waste food. I've said that before on this program. Take what you can eat. Don't put food in the dustbin. Save food by taking what you can eat. When we finish doing all of these things, then we should also encourage people to cultivate things, to farm everywhere. I remember there was a time I was small. They called this project Operation Feed the Nation. People were cultivating food everywhere, roadside, everywhere. In Japan, a country as advanced as Japan, listen to this is very important, without any threat of hunger, they have rice paddies on top of high-rise buildings. You can check and confirm. People cultivate rice on top of 30-story buildings. Everywhere, inside flower pots. In Japan, very fine. Because they understand the concept of food. If I can grow my own rice and then grow my own potatoes, it means I would have to buy only vegetables and maybe yams. So I put less pressure on rice and the potatoes. And that's the concept. People should farm. That's why the law in Nigeria permits civil servants, soldiers, police, and everybody to be a farmer. That's the only business a policeman, a soldier that are permitted to is farming, because you are supposed to be able to feed. That empty plot behind your house, all those places that are bushes, even the so-called ungoverned spaces, they should be cultivated. If you are traveling from Johannesburg to Cape, let me say, at least the one that got me thinking, from Johannesburg to Durban, for a whole 1 hour, if you look out of the window of the plane, you see plantations and farms for 1 hour. It's like flying from Lagos to Abuja. If you fly in Nigeria, you see forest and bush everywhere for 1 hour. If you fly South Africa, you see well-tended gardens and what do they call them? Plantations. All these, they are the wine orchard, that is orchard where they are stuff for the wine and all of that. So it got me thinking. I said, why are we living in this world where we have something wrong with the way we think? That's 1 hour. That's about 600 kilometers. There's no bush, not a single ungoverned space or bush. If a bandit comes into my farm, I will know that a stranger is in my farm. But if somebody is in a forest where nobody lives, you won't know. Now, why am I saying this? All of this attitude of allowing land to grow fallow, and we are all pursuing so-called oil money. You see people who go and get a drum of kerosene and put in front of their house, and they say they're doing oil and gas. There's this obsession with oil and gas, and that's what killed our economy. The same Venezuela effect. We need to get to that point where we go back to what worked for us, and that's agriculture. It doesn't stop us from doing our unfortunately, we are not thinking like that. So I think we must go back to the basics in the food matter. It's not a matter of just short-term knee-jerk solutions, open border, close border, import rice, export. No, we need to see when you have a problem as a person. I know you sit down and think it through, and they begin to implement solutions.
Definitely.
But we don't do that as a nation. So we need to stop jumping up and down about this open border, closed border. Why are we having issues with food? It's a fundamental question. Nigeria should be able to feed the whole Africa, not West Africa, the whole Africa.
All right. While we're still on,
But because we don't take our public seriously, we are talking about open and closed borders.
all right. While we are still on this topic of food production and all that, we saw the inauguration of agricultural mechanization in Niger State yesterday. The president was at the inauguration of the event, and we're talking 1,000 tractors, 5,000 other machine equipments that can help in farming. Just how important is? I mean, some people have described it as a feat. It should be ordinarily, it should be a feat, but in the wake of insecurity here and there, the farmers' headers crisis with which the president said he can end within 2-3 weeks, right? What can we do? Just how important of a feat is it?
It's very good to mechanize. If we don't mechanize agriculture, we have a problem. And we also have to think about how we mechanize. We shouldn't just think about only tractors and motorized vehicles. We should also think of light farming equipment. If you go to places like India, most Asian countries, they have mechanized equipment that are light. You see, the bigger the tractor, the bigger the cost of maintenance. You have to buy diesel and all of that. But that's not the issue. They're going in the right direction. When you mechanize agriculture, bring in proper species of seeds and all of that, you have higher yield per hectare. And then you think of your storage and all that, then you have food. But you can't do these things without security, which means that for every 10 naira you invest in mechanization and in farming, you also have to say, okay, maybe I invest 2 naira in securing the space where they will do the farming. And then the big question becomes, do we have the personnel and the capacity to protect these farmers, considering that as we speak, we are talking of protecting schools, now we're talking about protecting farmers. We are talking about threats that to schools in different locations. I mean, the government told us that schools in XYZ locations are under threat, including our own federal capital. So you begin to ask yourself, do we have the capacity? And that leads me to another issue. We need to get to that point where we design brand new solutions to our security threat. Moving people from one place to another based on attacks will not cut it anymore. And if we invest billions of naira to procure equipment and people are not able to use the equipment for fear of attack or because there are actual attacks, then it means that the purpose will be defeated. So I hope the governor is also thinking, that's the governor of Niger State, how do I protect the people who use these tractors when they go to farm? It's a legitimate question to ask. If you don't protect them, some of them won't even go to the farm altogether. So for every investment we make in large-scale farming now, we should make commensurate investment in securing the process. And that is not even good enough. We should be thinking of how to secure the entire space called Nigeria. That is what we should be thinking about, strategically speaking. But in the short term, we can say, okay, we need food, so let's prioritize food. Our children are running away from school, so let's prioritize securing schools. But while we're doing that, we should quickly think about how to secure the nation by being proactive, not waiting for these guys to strike them and start pursuing them.
All right, 0700 010 961 961 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation. 0700 010 961 961. Go ahead and give me a call and let's have a conversation about what's going on in the country, right? You can also leave a WhatsApp message or a YouTube comment on our YouTube page at Voice of the People Abuja. We are live, Voice of the People Abuja. Join us live on Voice of the People Abuja on YouTube. So, Mr. Larry, we're moving on to another story. Pa Ayo Adebanjo, that is the leader of the Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere, he threw his weight yesterday behind calls for Nigeria's return to a parliamentary system of government. Now, he's insisting that the presidential system of government is too expensive and corrupt. What do you think?
The truth is that they all have their problems, the parliamentary, the presidential, but it looks as if the presidential is more problematic. For first of all, most countries of the world are practicing the parliamentary. And the presidential limits the capacity of ordinary Nigerians who have the quality to aspire to certain positions, especially the position of president. You have to be super rich, super rich, to even aspire to be a president, because you have to campaign in 36 states and the FCT, physically speaking. You have to raise committees, men, foot soldiers in 36 states and FCT. You have to fund this process. And then these things make people become very corrupt, in the sense that some people, governors even loot money when they aspire to be president. They steal the money that they will use to campaign. They understand that in Nigeria, money is synonymous to political success. At least that's what they think. So they have to keep money, billions of dollars, not naira, that they will use to campaign. So we may consider the parliamentary system, but I will not stop saying that we need to also change the way our people behave and the way they think. Just changing the system of government may give us a reprieve. Just changing the system of government from presidential to parliamentary may give us a reprieve, but it may not solve our problem if we don't do things well. The way we interpret this thing is fundamental. I've always said that if you give a good driver a bad car, the driver will manage the bad car to his destination. If you give a bad driver a good car, the bad driver will wreck the good car. So while we have this debate, let's look at the fundamental debate. Who are our leaders? How do they behave? We had this parliamentary system before. How did it end up? Have we done an analysis of why it ended up the way it did? We are just talking, go back. We have been there before. Have we been able to sit down to do an analysis? So if we are going to do this parliamentary system, are we going to do copycat parliamentary again? Now that we are doing presidential, we did copycat presidential. We can modify some of these things. We can have our homegrown system, get the model and tweak it to suit our peculiar needs. So we need to think more. We shouldn't just be shouting, oh, parliamentary, shout again, presidential. Can we sit down and say, okay, parliamentary, but these are the challenges of parliamentary concerning the Nigerian situation, concerning the experiment we conducted in the First Republic. So can we tweak it and say, this is what will work for us? I think we need to review this presidential system, review the system, not just say let's jump into parliamentary, but can we open the door and have a national conversation about it so we can come up with something that suits us. I'll give you an example. Sorry, in a minute I'll give you an example. Somebody woke up one day and realized that copying the election the way the white man does it is not working for us, and they introduced what they called option A4, and that option A4 gave us the finest election Nigeria ever had. And somebody woke up one day and said, no, that option F4 is not secret ballot. In fact, that we're putting it in the dustbin. And that's how we got back to this story we're telling now. So every day we're in court. So what stops us from modifying? Why should the white man tell us how to conduct elections? If option F4 works for us, so why shouldn't we continue with it? So we need to do our thinking for ourselves and create homegrown solutions. But because our political elites, we are not comfortable with the fact that popular local people can win elections with option F4. They threw it into the dustbin so that they can continue counting ballots in the night and declaring all kinds of results. So we need to ask ourselves, is it about presidential, parliamentary, or is it about thinking about a genuine system that will fit the Nigerian situation? Climate. That's my take. We should create a solution that suits us.
Okay, so we're looking at the former president Muhammadu Buhari making a statement saying that President Bola Tinubu has performed very, very well since his assumption of office 9 months ago. And now Muhammadu Buhari had said that Tinubu has performed well given the circumstances, and Nigeria is a complex country to govern. Do you agree with this statement, or are there holes to poach, or is this just, APC supporting APC?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised that he said that Tinubu was a major factor in his becoming president. So I don't expect him to be any less charitable. And then he gave Tinubu the baton. It's from APC to APC. You don't expect him to say that, oh, Tinubu is not doing well. That he's a member of the family now, so he's doing everything he can to protect his broom. That is the simple solution to him, or say he's doing well so that maybe we'll give him some time. Nigeria is complex, but Tinubu knew Nigeria was complex before he told us he was going to fix Nigeria's problems, just like he knew that is Buhari, and he made it worse. So I don't think it's about Tinubu is doing well in the past 6 months. That's his personal opinion, but he's not in a position to know whether Tinubu is doing well. How do I know? Because he doesn't buy petrol, he doesn't buy diesel, he doesn't pay bills, he doesn't have food insecurity problems. He doesn't feel what we feel. He cannot feel the pulse of the people. He's ensconced in this kind of luxury. When you're a former president in Nigeria, all your needs are met till death. And people who do not go to the same market we go to, who do not queue for fuel like we do, who do not look for food to eat like we do, are not in a position to say whether the president is doing well or not. If you want to know whether the president is doing well, go and ask the man on the street. That's what they call us, the man on the street, the people who struggle to exist. If the government is doing well, they know. If the president is doing well, they know. How do they know? Because it affects them directly. They are not cushioned from the effect of bad governance or good governance. They are not ensconced in a kind of womb that protects them from what happens outside. So I don't think he's even in a position to tell us, because he is not in touch with reality. He's not in touch with reality. We are the people who should tell him whether Tinubu is doing well or not. And the result is out there on the streets.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for joining us in this conversation this morning.
Yeah, as always, a pleasure and a privilege. And thanks for this great conversation.
All right. So, real quick, in like 2 minutes, we're having opposition figures planning to form a new party championed by the presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who set in motion the machinery for the proposed party in collaboration with some members of the National Assembly. It's still in formation stages, but this is ahead of the 2027 polls. What exactly is your take on this? Because at this point in time, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar it seems to be running for a trophy as somebody who always runs for president. What exactly is your take on this?
I think we should cut Atiku Abubakar some slack. I mean, I'm not his friend. I'm not a member of PDP. But I think Buhari did 4 times before he got it. Atiku has a right to aspire. I'm a very, very objective person when it comes to these things. He has a right to aspire. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, we are told, failed at so many things, not even elections, and eventually became the president of America, and one of the greatest. So let's leave Atiku to pursue his ambition. The major question is, even if he gets there, will he make any real change, possible? But having said that, I think we need a more formidable opposition party. We need a more formidable opposition party, because the way we are going, I don't know if we are going to be able to even give APC any reasonable challenge in 2027. But I'm also worried that our political leaders are spending too much time talking about 2027 and strategizing about 2024 when they should be leading the people. I think they should invest in leadership while they are also doing their political maneuverings.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, and have yourself a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. Take care of yourself and the station too.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to VOP 96.1 FM. News is that the former President Muhammadu Buhari has said his successor, President Bola Tinubu, has performed very, very well since his assumption of office 9 months ago. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Send me a WhatsApp message. It's at 0700 010 961 961. My name is Gesire Agua. Good morning to you and have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday. Coming up next at 8:30 is the sports bit with Uncle Fireboy and the sports priest or something like that. I can't remember his sports name. Anyway, and Nonso Irene Zechi will be here as well to do justice to sports news. Thank you so much for listening to VOB 96.1 FM. My name, once again,